SMD Law is the official law firm of the Spartan Nation. Check them out on the interwebs at smdalaw.com or at 866-529-3537. No matter where you are in the state of Michigan, Upper Peninsula, Lower Peninsula, it doesn't matter. They have an office near you. So whether you need to send a letter to an annoying neighbor, or you're a criminal and you need defense, maybe you just have problems with elder law, check them out, smdalaw.com today. The official law firm of the Spartan Nation. Call them first, then you act.
Welcome back, Spartan Nation. Now, we're going to break down the Michigan State loss to Notre Dame. We're going to look ahead to Iowa. Quite frankly, we're going to do a lot more looking ahead to Iowa than breaking down the game because I don't want to – I'm still frustrated. And to do that, we like to bring them in every single week. The one, the only, the legendary Coach Chuck Grenier, legendary coach in the state of Michigan, prep coach, did it for years, very highly respected, is a frequent contributor to Spartan Nation and has been for many years. Coach, how are you?
I'm great. How are you tonight?
Well, Coach, I got to tell you, how am I tonight? You know, frustrating loss on a lot of reasons, but before I give my opinion, let's just go right to yours. 38-18, the game was not that close. Brian Kelly, early in the third quarter, called off the dogs. The last touchdown for Michigan State was scored with the backups, the third strings from Notre Dame. In case anyone's wondering how I know that, I was on the bench. I was literally standing right next to the bench and heard them calling for anybody that hadn't played. So it was not that close. I mean, that game could have been 70-10. Your thoughts on the game?
Well, I thought Notre Dame came in with a really good game plan. They had a quarterback that had a 2-1 record and had not shown that he could throw the ball. And they came in with the idea that they were going to get him confident in passing the ball. And they just set up with a lot of short game passes. And the more that he threw the ball and, you know, pitch and catch type of plays, the more confidence he gained. And, you know, that just, I think that changed the whole outlook of the Notre Dame team. And they just outplayed them. Notre Dame outcoached Michigan State and outplayed Michigan State.
All right, so I've got to tell you, Coach, well, let me just ask you. I'll let you be the one. What was your thoughts? Give me your thoughts on the game. I mean, I know that what you just told me, but I mean, give me your thoughts about, let's start with offense. What did you think of the performance of L.J. Scott and the running backs?
Well, the fumbles are just ridiculous at this time, and he's had 3 fumbles. I thought the rotation of the running backs was bizarre, to say the least. The thing that really stuck out to me was Madre London not even seeing the field. I don't remember him seeing the field till the fourth quarter. The game was decided at that point, and the rotation was bizarre, as it has been in the last few years. I thought Lewerke shined at times, and then he's young, made a lot of mistakes. He likes to play as a gunslinger, and he found out against a good team that you have to be a smart gunslinger. You just can't throw the ball any way you want. And I thought his technique was poor at times during that game. I thought the offensive line blocked well at times, but some silly mistakes. Penalties were reminiscent of days of the past, personal foul penalties, late hits, that sort of thing. You're not going to win ball games putting the ball on the ground, and you're not going to win ball games doing it that way. The defense, I thought, defensively, their game plan coming in, like I mentioned earlier, was the short passing game, and we don't really seem to have tried to snuff that out. If it had been me, I would have thought we would have played a little closer, a little more press coverage by everybody, and try to make the quarterback, if he was going to throw the ball a little deeper, which it seemed like he was not real comfortable doing. I remember specifically one play, and I was looking at this on TV and thinking to myself, why? I think it might have been the opening drive by Notre Dame, and they had a 3rd and 5, and they came out with twins left, and the slot receiver, the safety was over him, and the safety was giving him a 10, 12-yard cushion, and they just ran the outside receiver down the field, and they brought the slot underneath, or and like a six yard out. that was just plain pitch and catch first down. And I thought, this is just kind of ridiculous to try to do the same old thing over and over again when your defense is predicated with pressure. You play quarters with your secondary, press on the outside, and you have to get pressure by the defensive ends or sending linebackers on go blitzes, not delayed blitzes, and get enough pressure on the quarterback that he's going to be throwing the ball under pressure and make mistakes somewhere along the line. And the defensive ends are playing as hard as they can, but they're just not pressure defensive ends. And we just weren't getting to them. I think we only had the one sack, and I don't know if he had too many hurries or bumps or anything along that line, but we just got outplayed and outcoached, and got to reorganize and see if we can get everybody back on the same page, because Iowa's going to be tough.
Coach, you can tell the people whether or not I'm lying, but I have been screaming since spring, with all apologies to my father who's gone on, that the biggest game this year was going to be Iowa and Notre Dame, bigger than Michigan. I've said it. I've maintained it. This is a monster game for Michigan State.
This is going to be tough. I watched that Notre Dame game, the Iowa game against Penn State, and Penn State is a really good football team. And it's a shame, a crying shame, that Iowa had to lose that game, and I guess that could go into the favor of Michigan State at this time, because those Iowa players have got to be really down at this time after losing on the last play of the game. But this is going to be a really tough. That's a well-coached Iowa, tough-nosed football team that's going to be coming into the stadium on this Saturday.
Here's the thing. I think that Iowa is beatable, but Michigan State has got to quit helping their opponents. I said it against Bowling Green. You know, I thought the most telling quote, and you can go to SpartanNation.com and watch it right now, in his own words, Brian Allen, when he said, Bowling Green and Western Michigan, were one thing, but we can't beat ourselves and Notre Dame. They're a better team. You can't beat Michigan State and Iowa. They've got to make Iowa beat them. I mean, they can't help Iowa.
No. They're just going to have to play real close to the vest. You can't put the ball on the ground. The fumble by Scott going into the end zone, that was just a heartbreaker, backbreaker, if you want to call that. Lewerke trying to do too much and fumbled that ball too, and the turnover in close. You had two late hits during that game. The second late hit wasn't as serious, I guess you could say, as the first one by Willikis, but that was pretty bad. I think there was a stop on that play, and then there was a late hit. I can't remember that for sure, but no, you can't hurt yourself repeatedly with the turnovers and the bad penalties and expect to be good teams. You just can't do it.
I agree. I just absolutely cannot disagree with one thing you said. So give me your thoughts looking ahead to this Iowa game. I mean, am I overstating it? You know I've been saying it since spring that this is a must-win game for them.
I think so. I think this is really a big-time win game for them, because, I picked them earlier when we had this talk, and now they're going 6-6 in the season, and if I'm starting to get a little nervous about that 6-6 right now, because they just have not cleaned up some of the mistakes that they had against Bowling Green and against Western Michigan. The ball on the ground, the turnovers, that way you can't go into this ball game and turn the ball over. And you have to play smart, and you have to give what they give you, and take that. And it's good to try to get the extra when you can get the extra, but know when to go down. I'm talking about Lewerke on this one. Know when to go down and when to stay up. And I'm behind Lewerke. I think he's going to be a great quarterback for Michigan State. Let me say this also, with Lewerke, and I think people out there are saying, maybe he's not ready, or why is, Michigan State has had a history of not preparing quarterbacks and getting them ready to take over. You look back in Kirk Cousins and you look over at Cook and O'Connor and coming into this, they didn't see the field enough as non-starters. And then all of a sudden you throw them into the lion's den and you want them to perform at such a high level. And I think even though Lewerke played in 4 games last year, he really didn't get that much experience. And I think it's a big mistake on Michigan State's part when you have the quarterback, which is supposed to be your most important player on your team or most important player on your offense. When it's time for them to take over, they should be ready. And you can't expect them to get ready under fire like that. And I think that's part of Lewerke's problems, throwing the passes and relying too much on his strength instead of technique. And that's just from not getting enough game reps. So I'm sorry to go off on a rant on that, but that's just something I believe.
Nope. I don't disagree with you one bit. They have consequently failed, and that segues into my next question. Coach, one of the things that you just said it, Michigan State has woefully underperformed in preparing backups.
Yes.
Damian Terry, I like him personally. You can go to SpartanNation.com and hear it. Him and I have talked about his injuries. I love him and his family. His mom, Shelby, is an absolute sweetheart. His beautiful little sister. Great kid. But he's not going to be the answer. We know that. He's a redshirt, senior. You know, if Brian Lewerke were to go down, when your team has to get to a bowl, Damian Terry is not the guy. Now, I'm not going to get into any details, but you can go back to Spartan Nation and see it. A couple weeks ago, I asked Antonio about the fact that we all know there have been some issues with Messiah. And I'm not talking about anything, no schoolwork, no legal troubles, nothing like that. But he hasn't been able to play, and he missed all of the spring. Everything I am hearing from inside the program, from staff and players alike, is that Rocky Lombardi is killing it. Not doing good. You've seen all the reaction when Coach D'Antonio is like, wow, he's pretty special. We've never had a quarterback this far along. I heard some things he did on scout team, which I'm going to be writing about soon. As a matter of fact, it may have already published. I don't remember. I got to go back and look. But in my War Room article about him and about what he's doing in preparing. Actually, it hasn't published. I can see that now. I apologize. But it's going to be publishing about some things that he has done last week on the scout team. Everybody I talked to is talking about the kid. I've been told by multiple people. Nobody wants Brian to go down. The worst thing that can happen to this team is Brian go down. Nobody's rooting for it. But if he does, and it's for any length of time, their only way they're going to get to a bowl, internally I'm being told this, is with Rocky. So at what point do they break off the red shirt and say, we got to get him reps? Now, I was told the reason we didn't see anybody in there when the game was clearly over against Notre Dame was because, well, we wanted to fight for points. I'm told they don't want to get anybody in there because they don't want to, they don't want it to maybe show some of their weaknesses with some other guys, and they don't want to break a red shirt on Lombardi. How would you handle this situation?
Well, you already know the weaknesses with Terry. Terry got a few shots, and I can't remember if it was the Western Michigan game or the Bowling Green game. But he went in there and he absolutely threw bad balls. And that's enough right there. His past history over the last couple of years, he just has played well. A few good plays, and I know he went in with O'Connor in the Ohio State game where Cook was hurt, and they pulled that game out. But that was a weather game in which there was a tremendous storm, raining, wind. There wasn't going to be any throwing. So, and he hasn't really shown that he can hold up over any kind of long period of time. So, I'll give you an answer based on D'Antonio. How's that? The answer that you'll get from me based on Coach Mark D'Antonio is if Brian Lewerke goes down, Terry goes in. That's the way it's going to be. It's a loyalty issue up there, and then he's going to show that he can do it. And so the next one in is going to be Messiah. That's the way that's going to go. and then Rocky will get his shot after the other two people prove either they can or they can't do this job. With me, I think the way it should be handled is that in practice, if you got a guy that is, and I'll use their words, the hot hand, if he's the hot hand, he's the guy that goes in. And there's other people in there, and it can't be based on any other issue, then he is the best player at this time and get the shot. But if Lewerke does go down, that's what's going to happen. I can guarantee you that. Rocky's going to be the third guy in. And each one of those guys during that game, they're going to have to prove themselves. And it's probably going to take more than one game for that to happen. But that's the way it is.
But here's my whole point. Here's my whole point. Assuming what I'm hearing is truthful, and I'm hearing it from people who've been great sources for a long time, and Lombardi is your guy when you got to get to a bowl game. This is a point where, okay, you got to be a little bit of Nick Saban and say, listen, I'm sorry, I'm loyal to you. I haven't kicked you off scholarship, but we got to win ball games. We got to throw the next guy in. If that's true, that's what everyone believes, then they don't have a choice, do they?
No. I mean, who's in charge? Point blank. Who's in charge? So if there's a guy that's in charge of this football team and he knows that's the best choice no matter what, that's the other team members, they have to understand that and they have to realize that they're out there giving their all to win. Why would you not put somebody out there that gives you your best shot to win? When you put 11 people on the football field, you're putting the 11 best people in your mind that can get the job done and can win the game for you, offensively and defensively.
I agree. All right, Coach, last question for you. I know there's been a lot of fans going crazy. They never want to see LJ Scott on the field again. I think LJ is an NFL talent who's got a fumbling problem. It goes back to, it's not just this year. And so we know for a fact there's been frustration among the other running backs before when they talk about hot hand, but it's not what they do. How would you handle the situation? I like LJ. I like Madre. I like Gerald. It isn't about liking. It's about he may be your best back, but if he fumbles on the goal line or fumbles in other situations, how do you handle it?
Well, I think I just answered it the last little bit there. You put your best 11 on the field, the best 11 that will give you the opportunity to win. All three of those running backs that they have there have different skill. Holmes can carry the ball, he can block, he can catch the ball out of the backfield, and he can run with power for you. Is he really an elusive back? No, not that elusive. You put Madre London in, he's more of an elusive back. I think he can catch the ball out of the backfield. He's not your best blocker.
Coach, your phone's going in and out on us. Can you get to a better spot?
How's this? Is this better?
Yeah, it's better. Go ahead.
Okay, and then if you put Scott in, Scott by far is your best all-around back. He's not as good a blocker as Holmes, but he can. Is he a good pass catcher out of the backfield? Yes, he is. Is he elusive? Yes. Has he got speed? Yes. Can he run with some power? Yes. So he's your best ball player. Now, they somewhat benched him for the end of that game because of the fumble going into the end zone. And I know that there is something there, and I don't know all the particulars on this one. I know that he had some problems in the spring and that he was rehabbing an arm or a shoulder or something along that line. So there may be some weakness in there, but LJ Scott has got to look at what he's done and how he's hurt the team, over that hurt the team by fumbling the ball 3 times in the first 3 ball games. So I think he's going to just have to suck it up and man up, if you want to speak of that. And he's going to have to start thinking about ball control and making sure that he's not putting that ball down. But as a coach, I'm looking at your talent there. LJ would have to be the guy that I would start because he's your most versatile, your running back that has the most opportunity to win the ball game for you.
Coach, we got less than a minute, so just tell me, if you were the coach, how do you cure somebody of fumbleitis?
Well, there's that old thing about, I don't know, some coaches that make you go to school the next day and carry a football around or something along that line. I don't know what that does other than embarrass a kid running around there. But, you just got to sit down and explain to them, this is the problem. This is the problem. And I know that Notre Dame outplayed us for the most part in that ball game. But when you drop that ball, you fumble that ball going in the end zone, you really hurt this team and your brothers that are on this team. So,
and let me say this real quick before we go. I believe in LJ, and I think he's the most talented back. So no one's picking on him. We're just talking about the reality of the situation. This is a desperate time for Spartan football. And like Nick Saban says, it's about the team. It's not about individuals. It's about the team. And the team has to get this fixed. We'll be back. This fixed. We'll be back. This